Welcome back to the City Current Radio Show. I'm your host, Jeremy Park. We're honored to be joined by our good friend, Shane Davis. He's a partner with Vaco here in Memphis in the Mid-South. Shane, how are you doing, sir?
Doing pretty good in the home office for the past 3 months, but doing the best we can.
Well, your world is employment. You work with companies and individuals. You are a matchmaker of sorts. You have a high degree of specialization. Let's start with some basic context. Give listeners an idea. When you talk about Vaco, dive into what you guys do.
Yeah, so Vaco, we've got several different industries that we're in: finance and accounting, technology, supply chain logistics, HR, marketing, accounts receivable, accounts payable. And so we've got quite a broad services to our clients in Memphis. And not only that, but we have practices that lies in compliance and InfoSec and agile practice and what have you. So we can always reach out to our practices to help out with our clients and find solutions for them as well.
And obviously, you've got the local office here, but you're a part of a network of Vaco that's much larger, nationwide coverage as well.
That's correct. We're probably more than 35 offices now, in international, 2 in Canada, and a couple in India also.
Talk about, because the fun of, on your end, having you come on the show is you're seeing it from a lot of levels. And right now, I know in the news, obviously we have, with everything going on with COVID-19 and the shutdown and the quarantine, there were a lot of furloughs, a lot of people laid off. And sadly, that's the case in some areas, but not necessarily what you're seeing. So talk about what you're seeing in terms of job opportunities and companies looking for skill sets and still hiring. Talk about what you're seeing on your end.
Yeah, certainly. Obviously in the beginning of this, there were some layoffs here, but there weren't as many as people would have thought, right? Actually, the layoffs that happened here were fairly large layoffs or furloughs, but they weren't widespread. So, but the real issue why we saw the slowdown is not necessarily layoffs, it's that executives were making other strategic decisions based on their company and their industries rather than worrying about talent acquisition. Now we're starting to see that change. Over the last couple of weeks, we have seen an upturn in employment. And in certain cases, supply and demand hasn't changed whatsoever, depending on that certain skill set or technology that somebody may be seeking.
Give me an idea, and obviously you cover such a broad spectrum. Give me an idea of some of the hot areas when you talk about the companies and what they're coming to you. Is there any consistency on we're looking for these sort of skill sets, this sort of experience, this sort of role, or is it truly all over the charts?
It's truly all over the charts. I mean, a big concentration in finance and accounting and in technology. We've seen those really be the pickup first. And where we have seen some furloughs, they are asking for at some of the lower levels, like APAR candidates, they are asking for some of those candidates to now come back to work. So that's a real positive sign where they were initially laid off 6-8 weeks ago. Now they're asking them to please come back.
When you look at the turnaround time, like you said, it was, okay, let's pivot. Let's figure out how to protect our company. Now we're pivoting and back to scaling up and looking for employees. How fast, in other words, are they moving in terms of trying to make these hires and get back to where they want to be? Is it pretty quick? Is it a slow and methodical? Where are they in the decision-making process?
It is actually going pretty fast. It varies between client. Talent acquisition isn't necessarily their full-time job. They have other jobs. And so the thing that we still mention to our clients today is that this candidate for a specific skill set may not be here in 2 to 3 weeks. And we've had that happen where we're educating our clients and saying that this is not necessarily the case, that you think that you can wait or because they don't have anywhere else to go when they do. They have, and in several cases, we've had candidates that have received an offer from our client, but had multiple offers elsewhere. And that's been within the past 2 or 3 weeks that has happened.
Wow. So talk about on your end for those who say, okay, I either want to get back into the job market or they're in the job market right now looking for a job. What are some best practices? Obviously, one, connecting with you and your team. What are some best practices they need to be doing, like LinkedIn, to be able to take advantage of the timing?
Yeah, I would tell you, so there's 2 or 3 things that we can talk about here. One is definitely LinkedIn. If you don't have a LinkedIn profile or you're not on LinkedIn, then you're not considered a player today in today's market. And that's been going on for a while. As you know, I present to the MBA and IMBA programs at the University of Memphis, and I talk to them and help them create profiles on their LinkedIn, which should actually mirror your resume, right? And so if you're looking for an opportunity, you should say looking for new opportunities. A lot of recruiting, not only from an agency like Vaco, but a lot of recruiting is being done by companies out there, Fortune 500 companies, by LinkedIn only.
Wow.
No more postings on Monster or Dice or wherever on the job boards. They're posting them on LinkedIn, and they're actually looking for you on LinkedIn as well.
What are 1 or 2 tips for enhancing your LinkedIn profile? Obviously, you want a good picture, like you mentioned, looking for new opportunities in your headline, perhaps. You want to be able to tell a good story with, not just necessarily the blurbs, but the value you bring or brought to an organization. What are some best, tips or bits of advice on your end?
Yeah, professional picture, definitely, right? The other thing that we tell people is kind of lock down your social media. You would think that you wouldn't have to tell some experienced people to do that, but you do. So professional picture, an executive summary, like your elevator pitch at the top of your LinkedIn profile, that would be there, with maybe some of the keywords within that LinkedIn profile. And then make sure that the dates that are in LinkedIn on the jobs that you've had or the job that you have match up exactly to your resume. It's not only an agency like Vaco that would be receiving your resume and then going to LinkedIn, it's also going to be the client. They're going to go to LinkedIn and Facebook and social media as soon as they receive your resume. And if dates don't match up, then they're going to have questions right out of the gate as far as why those dates don't match up.
Do you find that endorsements and recommendations, do those kind of things help on LinkedIn, or do they matter or not?
Yeah, they do. It depends on who they're from, right? Not from a friend, but maybe a coworker or somebody that's been a manager or somebody that you've managed in the past. Those do weigh a lot, right? And because we think a lot of times that references are old school, but clients still ask for references and they're looking for them. And so, make sure that maybe some of those referrals or those recommendations on your LinkedIn, that they can be your references if needed in the future.
Right. Great advice. Carry
Yeah.
that over into networking. You and I know each other from serving on many different boards and even at University of Memphis and the lead program there. But I think relationships really do matter, especially when you're looking for a job. And so whether it's a relationship with you and Vaco or a relationship in general that can lead to new opportunities, relationships really are powerful. So talk about how, given the circumstances we're in, how can individuals go about networking?
Yeah, so there's many different ways to network now. One, reaching out, having those general conversations. As you and I work together, sometimes you receive potential candidates, you send them over. A lot of times, whether we're going to have something for them or not, I'm having the conversation with them, and then maybe I can point them in the right direction. Those are the benefits you get from networking. It's not necessarily that Shane's talking to Jeremy and Jeremy's going to have a job for him. It's a matter that maybe Jeremy can point him in the right direction. And it might not be the next one. It might not be the next one. It might be third or fourth down the line that could happen. We have it happen all of the time with that. That's why we encourage that so much. And in today, it's phone conversation. It can be a Teams meeting, a Zoom meeting. This was natural for us to begin with prior to COVID. We were doing this already. So this isn't anything new for us. It's obviously new for some other people. And I think from moving forward, whether, when we get out of this, that this is going to be the norm. I really don't want to say that because that's kind of an overused word. It was a norm for us to begin with, but I think it's going to be enhanced as we move forward as far as these type of meetings, especially those that are from out of town.
That's a great point, because in your world, when you talk about doing interviews, video conferencing has been a long time used platform when it comes to doing interviews, meeting people, setting up that first interview or first opportunity. So I think this is something, to your point, that it's been used in the past. It's going to definitely continue moving forward. What's maybe one tip when you talk about just helping people who are about to go on a job interview use video conferencing? What's one tip on that side?
Yeah, so we can get kind of funny on that, but again, professional, dress shirt, golf shirt, what have you, right? It doesn't require a suit. If you wanted to, depending on who the client is, we would know what that, and you should know too, whether it's via Vaco or somewhere else, what the dress code is there. Try to match the dress code that if you were going on site. I would do the same thing in your video. We've had several cases where maybe somebody has been on vacation and decided that they can do their video interview from vacation. Do not wear your bathing suit on the video conference. We've had that happen before. So again, professional lighting, make sure that you've got a good internet connection. We've had we've had issues with that before where they've just canceled the interview because either the sound and the video aren't matching up, and it's just getting really, it's hard to follow, right? So again, good internet connection, dress appropriately, and have good lighting in there as well.
Great advice. What would you want everyone to know? Obviously, this is a difficult time for all of us in terms of what we've gone through and what continues ahead in terms of the uncertainty. But what would you have everyone know in terms of working with companies, working with individuals, really on both sides? That's why I love your vantage point, is you get to see it from both sides. But what would your encouragement be for everyone moving forward?
Yeah, so that's a good question. And here's one thing that I've been telling a lot of people over the past couple of months. Prior to this happening, the job market was just unbelievable as far as the opportunities that were out there. And then suddenly it shut down, and now that there's an upturn in employment. Whether there's nationwide, there might be millions of people unemployed right now, but there are millions of jobs that don't have people. And that's what we're starting to see. So that would be exactly what I would say. And we're going to probably come out, companies are starting to come out in a little more, being stronger, more agile, and coming out and focus on candidates. And they're going to be really picky, thinking that, hey, there's a bunch of people out there when there's really not, but just be prepared for that. But again, there may be several million people out there looking for jobs, but there's also millions of jobs that don't have people.
Right. So on your end, obviously, we're also dealing culturally with anti-racism and no hate and stopping racism. Where does that fit in terms of cultural questions for companies and individuals who are trying to make sure that they not only find a job, but find the right fit, and vice versa for companies looking for diversity and making sure that everyone is doing everything right?
That's right. And so when we're prepping people for interviews, one thing that we tell them is that it's not only you being interviewed, it's you interviewing the company, right? You should be asking just as many questions as they are to figure it out. And that also shows an interest in the opportunity. If you're not asking questions and taking notes, it means that you have no interest in that opportunity. That's the perception, right, that you have there. So yes, there is a lot of that going on. As a matter of fact, Vaco had their first call last week, on talking about this. And then we have another conference call tomorrow with our executive leadership to discuss this further. We don't have exact answers right now, and I'm not sure anybody really does, but those are the things that we're talking about. And we have formed an inclusion committee to take a look at this so that we can start sharing this with our clients and what we're doing. And maybe if they say, oh, that's a great idea, let's take a look at that.
Yeah. So where can everyone go to carry these conversations forward? Obviously for companies who need your help and expertise, and also to individuals who are looking for great career opportunities, where can they all go to connect in with you and learn more about Vaco?
Yeah, you can go to my LinkedIn page and take a look there, obviously. And if you don't have one, get one up and then connect with me. You can also go to vaco.com and vaco.com Memphis and take a look at job postings. Whether we have a job posting or not that you think that you would be a fit for, you should still get in touch with us, because this is timing, right? It may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, but we are changing every day. And that's not because of what's going on. That's the same thing I would have told you 6 months ago, right? It changes every day. And if you don't have a relationship, this goes back to the networking. If you don't have a relationship with that person, then you're not in the ball game. I always tell potential candidates, whether they're friends or people that out there, executives I've worked with in the past, if you can't get up at the plate for a hit, then you can't hit the home run, right? And that networking and making connection are exactly the beginning of that.
Well, great insight. So valuable. Love having you come on the show. Shane Davis, partner at Vaco. Thank you for all you do and for coming on the show.
Thank you, Jeremy. Appreciate the opportunity.